Elmwood Hills was the kind of neighborhood where every lawn looked professionally mowed. Even if you mowed it yourself, the trash cans were never out more than 15 minutes after pickup. The people waved when they saw you, but they watched. Longer than they waved. Karen Thompson liked things a certain way. Routine, predictability, control. So when the moving truck showed up next door, on a Wednesday, she already didn't like the new neighbor. From behind her sheer curtains, she observed him like a bird of prey, a tall black man in his early 30s, hoodie pulled over his head despite the warm weather, headphones in. He moved with quiet purpose. Boxes in, tools out, then furniture, modern and clean-lined, not the rustic farmhouse style the neighborhood prided itself on. Too techy, Karen murmured, sipping her almond milk latte. His name, she would later learn, was Marcus Bennett. No family, no girlfriend, just him. Moved from the city. Worked in tech, allegedly. He didn't come to the HOA welcome brunch, didn't smile much either. Karen told herself she wasn't being judgmental. She was being cautious. That night, around 7 p.m., she went to stream her usual crime show. The buffering wheel spun. Then it froze. She checked her phone. No internet connection. Ugh. She muttered and opened her Wi-Fi list, only to find that Netgear 123, the open network she had borrowed for 2 years, had vanished. In its place was a new, locked network. Bennett Secure for 5G GHz. Karen's face twisted. She stomped into her home office and rebooted the router, though she didn't have a working account. She'd always justified her freeloading. Why pay when an open signal's floating in the air, free as a bird? But now the bird had flown, and it had a password. Her mind raced. He changed the Wi-Fi. But can he do that? Shouldn't there be rules? I've been using that connection since 2022. The next morning, she didn't wait for coffee. She marched across the street with fire in her eyes. Marcus was on his porch sipping coffee, laptop open, calm as a pond. "Excuse me," she barked, voice firm but tight. "Did you change the Wi-Fi name?" Marcus glanced up. "Morning. Yeah, I added a password." That was the community network. People use that. He raised a brow. "That was my router. No community here," Karen scoffed. "You can't just move in and start changing things. This is a neighborhood. There are standards." Marcus set his mug down slowly. "I'm just securing my home network. Standard practice, really." Her cheeks burned. "I don't like the attitude." He looked her square in the eyes. "And I don't like strangers using my bandwidth to watch murder documentaries." For a beat, neither said anything. The wind picked up slightly, rustling the leaves between them. Karen turned sharply and stormed back inside. But something about his tone, his calm, it lingered. And for the first time in years, she felt a strange, uncomfortable feeling. She wasn't in control. By the next morning, the entire block knew about the Wi-Fi incident. Karen hadn't said much, just enough. He locked it. Just like that. "No warning? We all use that signal. What kind of neighbor does that?" "Strange man, works from home, always on his computer." That was all it took. By noon, Marcus wasn't just the new guy. He was that guy. The one who didn't smile, didn't socialize, and had the nerve to bring city energy into their quiet little community. The whispers grew. At the dog park, "You know he has a van parked across the street every night? The unmarked one? Looks like FBI surveillance or something. At the salon, I saw him through the window. 5 monitors all running weird code. What kind of job needs that many screens?" By dusk, even people who'd never spoken to Karen were eyeing Marcus's house with suspicion. Inside 114 Maple Street, Marcus sat in front of his screens, running deep security scans. He wasn't oblivious to the attention, far from it. He saw the glances, the forced waves, the barely concealed curiosity. He just didn't care. Not yet. His eyes flicked across lines of data. Someone in this neighborhood had been compromised, their devices rerouted through unsecured networks. His old open Wi-Fi had been used as a ghost signal, bouncing illicit traffic through his IP. Harmless enough for amateurs, but this wasn't amateur work. This was intentional. He clicked again. A familiar device popped up on the list. Device name. Karen Cam Home 1 status. Compromised activity. High. Flagged origin ping. External server in Moldova. Marcus leaned back, eyebrows raising slightly. Well. He reached for his secure phone and started typing a message. Meanwhile, across the street, Karen sat in her kitchen with her friend Linda, trying to act casual while watching Marcus's house from the window. "I swear he's up to something," Karen whispered. Linda nodded. "He just gives off hacker vibes. And did you notice that van?" Karen smirked. "You saw it too, huh? Always parked across from his place. Same spot, same time, windows tinted." Linda leaned in. "You think he's being watched? I think he should be." Just then, Karen's Alexa blinked blue and played a single chime, followed by silence. She frowned. "That's weird." Then her phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Karen, you should really reset your passwords." Her heart skipped. "What the?" Linda looked at her. "What's wrong?" Karen held up her phone. "He's watching me." Later that night, as the neighborhood slept under quiet skies, Marcus opened a folder on his desktop titled Maple Devices, Traffic. Over a dozen connected devices showed signs of tampering, smart thermostats, speakers, even baby monitors. Most residents had no idea, but one stood out. Karen's cameras were streaming data internationally. That wasn't just poor security. That was illegal. Marcus's phone buzzed again, this time from a secure channel. A reply from his contact at the Cybercrime Division. "Good catch. If your scan's clean, we'll roll in within 72 hours. Watch for retaliation." He sighed, saved his work, and renamed his Wi-Fi one last time. "Mind your business. 5G Hertz." By Friday evening, the tension in Elmwood Hills had shifted from gossip to unease. It was no longer just about Marcus. It was about what he might know. Karen sat at her kitchen island, scrolling through her phone with nervous fingers. Her Wi-Fi had started acting strange again, blinking, stalling, freezing entirely. Last night, her smart lights flickered at 3:11 a.m. without warning. Her Nest camera replayed footage that she hadn't recorded, and the message still haunted her. "Karen, you should really reset your passwords." She hadn't told Linda that she received another one that morning. "It's not him you should be afraid of." What did that mean? Who was him? Who sent this? Across the street, Marcus stood at his window, watching the white van slowly roll away. For 3 nights, it had been parked in the same spot. No logos, no plates, just sitting, watching. Tonight, it moved. He watched it turn the corner and vanish. Right on time. He opened his laptop and ran a trace. The van's Wi-Fi signature, yes, it had one, was gone. But a hidden signal popped up instead. Elmwatch VX2, 52.7% signal strength. Someone had been watching the neighborhood, not just him, everyone. At 2:37 a.m., Karen woke with a start. Alexa had spoken again, unprompted. "Intruder alert, unrecognized activity on your smart lock." Her front door. She bolted upright, heart hammering. Grabbing her phone, she opened the security app, but it froze on the loading screen. Error. System offline. Panic swelled in her chest. Then a knock at the door, not loud, but deliberate. Karen crept toward the peephole. No one. She flicked on the porch cam. The screen showed static. Another knock. Then a text. "You're not the only one being watched." She gasped and dropped her phone. The next morning, black SUVs rolled into Elmwood Hills just as the sun rose. 4 of them. Government plates. No. Sirens. Neighbors peeked out behind blinds and curtains. Some came onto porches in robes. Whispers grew louder than lawnmowers. Karen watched in horror as two agents approached her house, not Marcus's. She opened the door with shaking hands. "Karen?" "Thompson," one asked. "Yes. We're with the Department of Cybercrime and Infrastructure Protection. May we speak with you?" Her throat went dry. "Is this about Marcus Bennett?" The agent frowned. "No, it's about your devices." Karen blinked. "My... what?" "Your home security system. Your Alexa. Your smart locks. They've been remotely accessed and used to route illegal traffic to offshore servers. Mr. Bennett flagged your system weeks ago." Karen's legs nearly gave out. "Wait, he what?" "He saved your data. Otherwise, you'd be liable. You were being used as a proxy, a digital middleman, for something far beyond your awareness." The other agent added, "Frankly, ma'am, you should thank him." Across the street, Marcus watched calmly as agents escorted Karen's devices to a van. He sipped his coffee. One of the agents gave him a subtle nod as they left. Karen looked up at Marcus. Their eyes locked. No rage now, no pride, just embarrassment, realization, and something new, fear. She mouthed a single word. "Why?" Marcus gave a small smile. "Because ignorance isn't an excuse anymore. Karen didn't leave her house all day. The agents had taken her devices. Everything. Smart in her home was now in evidence bags." She sat alone in her living room, blinds drawn, phone powered off, Wi-Fi router unplugged. The silence was loud. Across the street, Marcus hadn't moved much either. But his calm wasn't shaken. If anything, it looked like he was waiting for something, watching for it. That evening, the doorbell rang. Karen jolted. She peeked through the side window, expecting more agents. It wasn't. It was Linda, wearing sunglasses. "After sunset." Karen opened the door, hesitant. Linda stepped in quickly, voice low. "Karen," she said, "you can't tell anyone they were here." "What? Why?" Linda shut the door behind her. "You don't know what you're getting into." Karen narrowed her eyes. "You knew, didn't you?" Linda didn't answer. She just walked to the window and peered out at Marcus's house. "He's the one who got the van removed," she muttered. "They were his people." Karen blinked. "Wait, what are you talking about?" Linda turned, face sharp. "Do you think this was about your Wi-Fi? Your Alexa? No. Karen, this neighborhood has been under passive surveillance for years." Karen's voice dropped. "Surveillance? By who?" Linda took off her sunglasses. "By your husband." Karen froze. My ex-husband?" Linda nodded slowly. "He never stopped. All those cameras he installed, the extra firewall on your phone, the tracking apps for the kids even after the divorce, they never went offline. He had a back door, built into your whole system. That's what Marcus found." Karen stumbled back, gripping the table. "No, he moved out." He never really left," Linda said. "He just got smarter." Across the street, Marcus was reading the encrypted log file recovered from Karen's smart hub. It contained metadata stretching back 3 years, timestamps, IP addresses, access logs. One signature repeated hundreds of times. It belonged to Alan Thompson, Karen's ex-husband, and he wasn't just spying, he was selling access to advertisers, to phishing rings, to private investigators. He had turned Karen's house into a digital listening post, and no one noticed, except Marcus. Back in the kitchen, Karen's hands trembled. "Why didn't you tell me?" she asked Linda. Linda's expression darkened. "I tried. I gave hints, but you wouldn't hear them. You called Marcus a threat before you even spoke to him. You were so sure he was the problem. You didn't realize the real one had your last name." Karen's face crumpled. All the paranoia she'd felt, the glitches, the weird footage, the cold spots in her home. It hadn't been Marcus. It had been Alan. Every second. Even now he could be watching. Later that night, the final SUV rolled down Maple Street and stopped in front of Marcus's home. Two agents stepped out, one holding a sealed folder. Marcus opened the door before they knocked. "Confirmed," one agent said. "We found a private network linked to Alan Thompson's consulting firm. He ran a proxy shell through half the devices in the county." "Not just hers," Marcus said. "Figured. We've seized the server. Charges incoming, interstate cybercrime, breach of privacy, illegal surveillance." The agent hesitated. "You did good, Bennett." Marcus only nodded. The next morning, the whole neighborhood saw a new Wi-Fi name pop up. Spy-Free Zone 2049 Karen sat on her porch, eyes tired but quiet. Across the street, Marcus tipped his coffee mug at her. No smugness, just peace. For the first time, Karen waved back. Not out of politeness, but respect. Elmwood Hills looked the same. Lawnmowers still buzzed at exactly 8 a.m. Sprinklers ticked in synchronized rhythm. Birds chirped. Delivery vans came and went like clockwork. But something had changed. Not visibly, internally. People waved a little longer now, looked over their shoulders a little more. Checked the small green dots on their devices to make sure their cameras were really off. The illusion of control, once absolute, had cracked. Karen stood in her living room, a bare wall where her smart TV used to be. No Alexa, no Ring doorbell. No digital anything, just quiet. And for once, she liked it. She hadn't spoken to Alan since the FBI contacted her. He'd denied everything, of course, called it a misunderstanding. Said Marcus set him up. But then the evidence came. Timestamps, IP logs, contracts, money trails. The truth was undeniable. Alan had used her home, her life, as leverage. And when she divorced him, he didn't cut ties. He just changed how he watched. Now he was facing federal charges. Karen might have to testify. She wasn't ready for that. But she wasn't afraid anymore. 2 days later, a moving truck pulled up in front of Marcus's house. Karen watched from her porch, her hands wrapped around a plain ceramic mug. She waited for the right moment, then crossed the street. Marcus was stacking boxes, calm as always. "You're leaving," she said quietly. He glanced over. "Not sure yet. Just packing the unnecessary things. Makes the place feel lighter." Karen smiled faintly. "Seems like you never unpacked in the first place." He shrugged. "Didn't plan to stay long. Just needed somewhere quiet to run. My scans. This place was louder than I expected." She looked down. "I owe you. More than I can say." "You don't owe me," Marcus replied. "You learned." Karen tilted her head. "Why here? Why this neighborhood?" He hesitated for the first time, then, "Because this is where the signal led. Your house wasn't the only one infected, just the worst." She took a breath. "Do you think we're safe now?" Marcus looked at her, serious. "Nothing's ever really safe, but now you're aware. That's a start." That evening, the neighborhood group chat, once filled with potluck invites and lawn care debates, lit up with a new notification. Karen had posted for the first time in over a year. Security tip from a neighbor who learned the hard way: if you're using any smart devices, cameras, assistants, baby monitors, check their settings. Check who has access. Change your passwords. Not once. Regularly. Trust me. Also, if you're wondering, Marcus wasn't the problem. He was the solution. Be more like Marcus. The responses came slowly, but they came. Well said. Appreciate. You speaking up. Tell Marcus to stay. Later that week, Marcus walked down the sidewalk toward his house. The van was gone. No agents. No watchers. As he reached his door, he noticed something new. A welcome mat. It wasn't his. It was from Karen. 3 simple words. "You belong here." He paused, smiled, and stepped inside. Epilogue, 6 months later, Elmwood Hills got new street cameras, this time with publicly posted privacy policies. The HOA adopted a digital privacy awareness seminar, and once a month, someone invited Marcus to dinner. He didn't always go, but he appreciated the offers. As for Karen, she started over. No more borrowed Wi-Fi. No more assumptions. She even got her own secure router, with Marcus's help. People say neighborhoods never change, but maybe some do. Just not the way you'd expect. 6 months passed. The leaves had turned. The talk of FBI vans and secret networks had faded. Not forgotten, just buried beneath neighborhood barbecues, new garden projects, and the installation of motion-activated porch lights, the irony of which didn't escape Marcus. People adapted, but they never fully understood, except Karen. She'd started a blog, offline at first it was called, a strange mix of memoir, privacy tips, and confessional entries. It gained traction faster than expected. She even got invited to speak at a local cybersecurity seminar. Marcus came, sat quietly in the back, and slipped out before she could thank him. They still spoke, briefly, occasionally, enough to keep a thread between them. Until one night, the thread pulled tight again. It began with a ping on Karen's laptop. Access denied. Attempt logged at 03.1308. She froze, checked her firewall, clean, VPN active. Secure router settings unchanged. Then a message appeared in plain text. Did you think this was over? Her stomach turned. She called Marcus. He picked up instantly. It's back, she said. He was already typing before she finished the sentence. Across town, Marcus's system lit up with red flags. Someone was spoofing his old logs. Packets of data were reappearing. Deleted files he'd shredded months ago were being reconstructed. But not from his drive. From another node, he traced it, then froze. Origin, 118 Elmwood Hills Drive. That was 3 streets down from Karen. The house was supposed to be vacant. The next day, Marcus parked 2 blocks away and walked casually toward 118. It was still listed as pending sale, overgrown with ivy and a cracked driveway. But something was off. The mailbox had recent mail, fresh tire marks in the gravel, and a small satellite dish barely visible on the side wall hidden behind an overgrown hedge. He walked past without slowing, snapped a discreet photo, then turned the corner. That night, he decrypted the signal. It wasn't commercial broadband. It was mesh-based darknet access, a satellite backdoor designed for isolated nodes, meaning someone was still listening, still watching, still here. Karen sat on her porch when Marcus arrived the next morning. He didn't wait to sit. You're not the only one being watched, he said. She blinked. Again? No. Still. He handed her a printed log. Incoming signals, origin points, timestamps. It's not your system, he continued. It's someone else's. But they're bouncing signals off your address, framing you again, maybe even just testing reactions. Karen looked at the printout, eyes narrowing. What do we do? Marcus leaned forward. We start watching them. That night, a second van returned to the neighborhood. But this time, it was Marcus's, unmarked, silent, parked in front of 118. Inside, his screens glowed. Karen sat beside him, focused. On screen, a thermal map of the house. One figure inside, moving room to room, carrying equipment. A woman. Not Linda. Not someone either of them recognized. Karen's voice was low. She doesn't live there. I've never seen her before. Marcus nodded. She's not a resident. She's an operator. Karen looked at him. How long do you think this has been going on? Marcus didn't answer at first. Then, longer than you'd believe. The woman inside 118 Elmwood Hills didn't act like a squatter. She moved with precision, like she'd done this before. Marcus watched the thermal scan in real time. noting her routine. Small, calculated loops from the kitchen to the back office, never spending more than 90 seconds in one place, almost as if she knew where every camera blind spot was. Karen sat beside him, eyes fixed on the screen. "She's not just using the house," she said. "She's controlling something." Marcus nodded. "She's not tapping into data anymore. She's rerouting it, filtering it." Karen turned to him slowly. "Filtering what?" Marcus leaned in. "Us." Later that night, Marcus initiated a passive network trace using a low-power packet sniffer disguised as a solar light on the curb. Outside 118. The result was worse than he expected. Dozens of active IP connections repeating MAC addresses, traffic rerouted through a ghost server tagged LVN Node 12. He zoomed in on the metadata signature. LVN, he'd seen that before. Not in Elmwood Hills. In Detroit, in Seattle, in towns that were test sites for experimental surveillance programs. LVN wasn't a company. It was a program, privately funded, publicly denied, and this woman inside 118 was running it right under the noses of the entire neighborhood. 3 nights later, Karen and Marcus waited. The woman always left at 2 a.m. like clockwork. She'd exit the back, dressed in joggers and a hoodie, always on foot. No vehicle. Gone for 40 minutes. Exactly. This time, Marcus slipped in. The house smelled like dust and plastic. Everything inside was deliberately plain, bare walls, empty kitchen, except for one room, the back office, a table with a stack of encrypted drives. A heat-dissipating laptop cooler humming beneath a hardened casing. A battery pack that could run the entire setup for days without power, and on the screen, a dashboard with a single header. LVN, Neighborhood Tier 4. Monitoring. Active. He took a photo, pulled a USB from his pocket, plugged it into the hub. Began. The transfer, 33%, 46%. The hallway light clicked on. Marcus froze. Footsteps, quiet, barefoot. The front door hadn't opened. She was still inside. Karen waited in the van, watching the thermal feed. The figure that was supposed to be outside was now moving toward the back of the house, toward the office. She grabbed the walkie. "Marcus, she's still in there. She never left." Silence. The feed blinked, then came his voice. Calm. Whispered. "I see her." Karen gripped the steering wheel. "What do I do?" Marcus replied. "Get out! Now!" Marcus stood completely still as the woman entered the doorway. Her face was calm, not surprised, almost like she was expecting him. "You're early," she said softly. Marcus didn't flinch. "And you're sloppy," she smiled faintly. "Only enough to lure you in." The laptop screen behind her changed. Code unraveling, self-deleting lines appearing one after another. She wasn't just monitoring, she was erasing everything. "You don't understand what you're part of," she said. "You think this is about privacy? It's about selection." Marcus narrowed his eyes. "Selection for what?" She stepped closer. "For who gets to live off-grid, and who gets cataloged." Outside, Karen's heart raced as she backed the van toward the corner. Then she saw something that made her breath catch. Another woman, identical build, identical hoodie, jogging casually down the sidewalk. 2 of them, a decoy, a loop. They were never meant to catch her. She was meant to catch them. The woman didn't stop him. She let Marcus leave, walked right past him, fingers still typing as he backed away. That alone told him everything. This wasn't about catching him. It was about studying him. And now, the real question burned in his mind. Why him? Why Karen? Why here? Back in his safe house, Marcus tore through the data he'd captured from the LVN terminal. Only fragments had transferred before the deletion protocol triggered, but one file stood out. SPA13KT0. He opened it. Inside, a compressed package of notes, charts, and psychological reports, all labeled with one name, Karen Thompson. His blood ran cold. Karen was sitting on her porch when he arrived. She could tell something was wrong by the way he didn't speak right away. Just handed her the file. She opened it. Read slowly, face pale. Subject shows early resistance to external manipulation. Elevated threat level if triggered. Prior exposure to long-term digital surveillance failed to condition response. Status. Unstable variable. She looked up at Marcus. They've been studying me like a test rat. He nodded once. You're not the only one. Marcus wasn't from Elmwood Hills, or even the state. He'd never said much about his past, but tonight, he sat across from Karen and opened the box he'd kept sealed for years. Inside were 7 different IDs, photos of different neighborhoods, reports like hers, stamped with the LVN triangle. Most of the subjects were now marked inactive. What happened to them? Karen asked quietly. Marcus didn't answer. He didn't need to. LVN wasn't surveillance for control, it was surveillance for prediction. Across the country, neighborhoods like Elmwood Hills had been used to simulate societal stress reactions, tracking how people responded to subtle manipulations. Tech glitches, rumors, small privacy violations. They weren't trying to break people, they were trying to chart them. Find those who resisted manipulation. Those who noticed patterns, like Karen, like Marcus, outliers. The selection protocol was Phase 3. Identify these outliers, isolate them, and decide, integrate, eliminate, or recruit. That night, Karen noticed something else in the report, an unsigned note. Subject KT0 despite instability, subject may be viable for elevation. We'll monitor one more cycle. Karen turned to Marcus. What's elevation? He looked away. That's what they offered me, a long time ago. She blinked. You were recruited? I said no, he said. Then they burned my identity and made me disappear. Karen was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked up. You think they'll ask me? Marcus didn't answer. Because he knew, they already had. 2 days later, a letter arrived at Karen's door. No return address. Black envelope. Inside, a single card, printed. In silver ink, you are not like them. Meet us. Decide. Or be decided. On the back, coordinates, a date, a time. No signature. Karen looked up at the sky. Everything in her life, the paranoia, the anger, the glitching tech, had been manufactured stress. Now the experiment was done, and she wasn't just a subject anymore. She was a variable. That couldn't be predicted, which made her the most dangerous thing in their equation.